Alright, welcome back to the channel, and today we're just gonna get right into it. We're going to be going over the air-to-air weapon systems of the A-18C Hornet in DCS. And we're going to go over 4 of them. The guns, the Sidewinders, the AMRAAM, and the Sparrows. So of those 4, we're going to go in that order. So we're going to start with the gun. But first, cannot show you my loadout. Well, payload. But we'll get to that when we get there. So we're going to start out on the guns. And as you can see, right off my nose here, we have 2 enemies. 2 MiG-29S. So I'm going to go ahead and select gun. And you can see that, like, what kind of looks like a road or a runway up top, and how it's moving, how I move. That is right now the projected flight path of the bullets if I were to fire right now. However, once we get close enough, it will lock onto them almost as if you were firing a missile at them. However, it's just going to lock onto them. And once it does, I'm going to pause it and show you. Okay, so here, I'm going to get that like out of the way. There we go. So here we have like a new symbol. So down here is the box around the enemy. Over here is, you see the there we go, gonna zoom in a bit, the 420 VC. That's our vectoring at the enemy. So I'm closing in on them at a massive speed, and the 4.5 range, that's the range, so 4.5 miles. Gonna shut my phone up. And here is essentially the reticle of firing it, or the sight. So this top line here is the range for it, like the estimated range. This one here is like roughly what you want to fire at. So, ooh, my bad. So once we, ooh, yeah, okay, shut up, computer. I know I'm low. So as we get closer, it's going to, you'll see that top line on the circle start moving. And essentially, as you get closer, you want to try and keep that centered on them. However, if you're going too fast and it goes off the HUD like that, you cannot do anything. So I am just going to undesignate and go after the other one, since it is right there. There we go. There we go, lock them on. There we go. And as you can see, that line is moving. Now, personally, I want to start firing at about 1 nautical mile. More than likely, it will not hit. However, at about 0.5, that is effectively when you want to fire. I kind of suck at hitting them, but now they're going down, and you saw that they ejected. That is how you effectively use the gun. It typically locks within 5 nautical miles, and down here you can change from the high rate of fire to the low. High is about 6,000 rounds per minute, low is 4,000, so not too big of a difference, but a difference. Okay, and I'm gonna pause it. So from here we're gonna go we're gonna go on to the Sidewinders. Okay, and now we're going to go over the Sidewinders for the F-18, which I'm going to throw in. I'm using the AIM-9 X-Ray, which is the most modern version, which it's also going to be the most effective. So all of these that I'm about to, these 2 methods can also be done with the head-mounted display. I'm not going to do that because it is a bit tricky to use, like if you're just using the standard like camera visuals. Now we have the 2 enemies down here. The first method, first I'm gonna select the Sidewinders. Now you see the circle that appeared. This is essentially the sight for it. Now when I unpause it, you're gonna hear static. That means it is ready to fire. As soon as you get a lock on someone, you fire, you're good to go. However, once you get closer, it'll turn into more of a beeping tone. That means there is an enemy essentially almost right in your sight. Just adjust a bit, you will get a solid tone. Honestly, very annoying, but I'm gonna do that now. So just gonna come down at these two. There's the beeping, and there's the annoying one. Now at this point, you can uncage using the uncage button in the settings. So you just come in here, adjust your controls, and I already have it pre-bound, but by default it's going to be C on the keyboard. And by doing that, like once you get the annoying tone, if you hit cage uncage, it will follow them around on the HUD. And if you hit the button again, it will re-cage it, which means it'll just set it back to default. So now I'm gonna wait till I'm a bit closer, since these are also going to be easier to evade, since it's the heat-seeking version, which means as soon as they put out some flares, they can evade it. So if they just put out some flares and bank left to right, there's a solid chance they're going to be evading it. So I'm just gonna get a bit closer. At about 3.5 miles, I'm going to fire. And now you see, I'm just gonna switch to this. As you can see, it's locking on right now. I'm also gonna make sure I'm not gonna crash. Hang on. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's locking on, and you're gonna see them putting out flares. Correction, they didn't want to put out flares, so we got contact. Now we're gonna go over the second method, which is a bit trickier to manage. However, it's going to be more effective, which is going to be the radar slave version. So to engage this one, just gonna do up on your SCS. Now once we get a big, I'm gonna reset it for this, but once this is done loading, I'm going to get back into it. However, I'm just gonna reset it since it's a bit easier to do on a target that does not know you're there. So the first version method, the heat-seeking method, that is going to be easiest, like when you just need to get them off like that. However, this method is going to be a bit more tricky. So I'm going to get one of them on radar. Now I'm going to pause it so we can look at some of the stuff that's going on. So to look up, there we go. So on here, we have a few new things. First, I'm going to point out the range is on the HUD now instead of just on them. So 8.3 range, which is 8.3 nautical miles. And then we have the vectoring towards the enemy. So since it's a 340, which means I'm gaining on them at about, I'm not exactly sure what it's like set in, but if it's a positive number, that means you are gaining on your enemy. If it's not, and a negative number, they are pulling away from you. Okay, now we're going to move on to this. So right here, there we go. Right here on the inside of the circle, there's going to be a line, and that is your essentially range to the enemy. So that ties into these three triangles. This bottom one is the maximum effective range of the AIM-9X. So if this line is anywhere past this triangle on the left, you do not want to fire because the missile will not make it. This one is the minimum effective range. So if it is anywhere like above this, do not fire because it will not have enough time to like correct course and actually hit them. However, between that is the effective range that you are able to actually make contact with the target. However, this third triangle right here, that is the lethal range. So if it is anywhere between here and here, that is going to be the most likely chance of you hitting your target. Personally, I try and shoot for about here, but most of the time I'm not able to do that. Okay, So now another thing is this dot that appeared up here. That is essentially part of the site. I'm just gonna call it a site because it's easier for me to remember that. But this, you want to get it inside of the circle, and the closer to the center it is, the more likely chance you have of hitting your target. There we go. And once it actually gets inside of the circle, if this is still in the HUD, if the like circle and square around the enemy are still in the HUD, there will be a blinking indicator saying shoot. That is when you want to shoot. So now I'm going to unpause and attempt to demonstrate this. It can get a bit tricky for me sometimes, just because I tend to overcorrect a bit. Okay. Now see, this line is slowly moving downwards into the effective range. And now I'm gonna get the circle in. So if I was within range right now, it would be blinking saying shoot, shoot. I'm gonna get a bit closer now, come off the throttle so I'm not like passing everything instantly. Just gonna unlock them. There we go, get that one in. Now see, he's trying to evade, but now if I get this in the sight, oh sorry, no, lock him up. There we go. If I get the circle in, or the dot in the others in the circle, I should get an indicator saying shoot. However, I am nowhere near that one, so I'm just going to find the other one, wherever he went. Okay, yeah, he continued on course, so since I was not able to actually get like a proper lock on them, I'm stalling. Don't do that. That's not good. So, where'd he go? Okay, I see. Okay, so now I'm going to attempt this one more time. I'm just going to, there we go. And now select it. And since they're on a solid target and I am nowhere near them, I'm just going to disengage that. And see, I have it, the dot in the circle. I'm about to hit the maximum range. Apologies. And then I should have an indicator saying shoot. And then I will fire. And oh, nope, never mind. They're evading. So I'm going to fire. As soon as that guy gets in the circle, I'm firing. And now see, I made contact. So that is roughly how you use the AIM-9X. I know it's a bit rough. I am not the greatest person to look at this for, but if you're like just learning how to do it, I am attempting to explain it as best as I can. But now we're going to move on to the AMRAAM. So let's do it. Okay, now we're going to go over the AMRAAM, which for that I'm going to be using the AIM-120 Charlie because it's the most modern. It's going to essentially be the most effective. So there are two methods to do this. Once you select it, you're going to see a big dash circle. This is essentially launch then lock. It launches, and any plane, enemy or friendly within the circle, the first one it sees, it will lock onto. So if you have friendlies in front of you, don't shoot. But if you're a big, like even one or two enemies in front of you and you don't care which one you hit, fire away. So that's the first one, which I will demonstrate after this second one. Now for the second one, you want to lock onto them. Sometimes it works doing SCS right, but most of the time for me it doesn't. So I'm just gonna get lock, and then it's the same thing as with the AIM-9X, dot and circle. And then see, oh. Dot and circle. That's the entire game here. It's actually kind of fucking stupid to try and get it in. See, I'm gonna just decrease my speed a lot. Altitude. And hopefully I'll be able to get it in the circle easier. Probably won't though. So yes, I am attempting to slow down as much as I can right now. Like I have full speed brake going, but so dot in circle. It's just not gonna work well. However, I'm gonna fire. However, you want to get the dot in the circle, so I'm gonna fire, and it's going to miss. So, oh, there we go. Where's this buddy? Okay, so I'm gonna go. Okay. Attempt. There we go. Got lock on his buddy. Now, dot and circle. Dot and circle. Fire. Will this make contact? I'm not 100% sure. So, more than likely will not. Oh, it did. It did make contact. Okay. So, it's a bit tricky, but it does work. However, for this next method, it's really easy if I don't stall. Okay, stop stalling. No, don't do that either. Okay, now real quick, I'm gonna pause it, go into my map. The other plane crashed. They crashed. Okay, well, now I'm just gonna reset the mission so I can show you that one. Okay, so as I explained before, any enemy within this circle, within 10 nautical miles, the first one it sees, it'll lock onto. So I'm just going to fight right now, and I'm going to switch to this camera. Just because I can. Oh, off weight. Okay. Now see, it has its target, and it's going to vector at it, and it hit. So, just because I can, I'm going to aim at the other one. Yep, see, it has lock. It's vectoring at it. Now, altitude. Contact. And that is the second method. The first method I just showed you, it can be iffy sometimes. It's a bit harder to actually get contact, but if you do, it can be the more reliable one. So, now we're going to go over to the final weapons system, the Sparrow. Okay, so now I'm going to go over the Sparrow, which for that I'm going to be using the AIM-7 Mike Hotel, or AIM-7 MH, because it is the most modern, it's going to be the most effective, and it has thrust vectoring, which means it will be able to turn faster and, like, make sharper turns. That's the word I was looking for. So there are two ways to do this. From the first method, you can see it's very similar to how the AMRAAM functioned. It'll be launch then lock. It'll lock onto the first thing it sees, enemy, friendly, whatever. But you see over here we have size, so small, medium, or large. Since I'm fighting sorry, I'm shooting MiG-29s. I'm going to select medium. For mode, we have loft, norm, and helo. So loft, it shoots it up into the air first to gain more altitude, which means it will gain more range. Norm just shoots it out normally. Helo is for helicopters, and I personally have not messed with that yet because I just haven't messed with helicopters in DCS yet, but I'm going to set it to norm. So now I'm just going to get a bit closer so it has a better time locking. And then I found it effective to like go aim a bit higher than you think you have to. So like this, it will most likely just miss. So aim up a bit like that, and then launch. I'm gonna come back on the throttle, and as you can see, it's turning, so it has lock on them. Going to speed up a bit. It's going to miss on them, but then it's going to lock onto them, also miss, I believe. Oh, no, that might hit. Nope, that missed. Okay, so since both of those missed, I'm going to switch it over to the radar and use this. So the second method is radar. So, where'd they go? You know what? Yeah. Wait, did plane number 2 crash? No, plane number 2 is in front of me. Where? Oh, he's way down there. Okay. So, yeah, method number 2 is radar. There's a few ways to go about this. You can lock on using the radar down here and your TDC controls. Or you could lock on, for instance, using bore sight, which is what I'm going to do. So, altitude. I'm in range, and altitude. It's back to the fun game of dot and circle. But I'm going to unlock from that and reselect over here. Find where the other dude went. Where'd he go? Oh, he's in front of me. Okay. Okay. And now, basically, gotta wait until this actually picks him up. It picked him up. Turns out it didn't. Oh well, gonna use bore sight just to make it a bit easier. Get it in line, shoot, gonna fire, and there we go. It's vectoring, whatever you want to call it. And this is going to be contact, I believe. Yeah, that's contact. So as you can see, the first method of just shut up. The first method of just like flood firing it is not, like, it will work, however it's not the most effective, because a lot of the time it does lose lock. However, oh, do I have my speed brake out? I do. A lot of the time it does lose lock, so actually, like, acquiring a radar lock from the get-go is gonna be more efficient because you're more likely to hit it. Yeah, shut up, game. But yes, that is how to use the weapon systems. I know I wasn't the greatest at actually hitting the targets, but that is entirely my fault. So that is going to be it for this video. Maybe in about a week to a week and a half, I will more than likely upload a video on air-to-ground weapon systems. So it'd be like the harm, unguided bombs, laser-guided bombs, and air-to-ground gun. So look forward to that. If you found this useful, I have a video up on the startup, taxi, takeoff, and shutdown of the F-18. However, you may have a hard time understanding me sometimes. But yeah, that is it for now. If you like the video, like and subscribe, I guess. Don't really have to, because personally it doesn't really matter to me. Yeah, that's it. Peace.